What is the best site builder for you to use on your new website project? In this video, I'm gonna cover all the details that you need to know. And when I say all, I actually mean most, but I'm gonna cover all the details that you need to know for you to decide what builder is best for you. And what's a little bit different about this video versus other videos is that I'm gonna focus in on, not on pros and con lists for every builder, like Webflow, pros and cons, Squarespace, pros and cons. I'm gonna focus in on the 4 key things I would ask you if you were building your site and you said, hey, I need to build a site, which tool is the best? These are the 4 things I would ask you that no matter what, by the end of it, you will have a clear indication of what tool is best for you right now. So the first thing is this. You want to focus in on what kind of website do you need? And this sounds so simple, but you just need to define, is it e-commerce? Is it a consultancy website? Are you like a coach and you just need a website where people can go to learn more about what you offer and your services? Are you designing a portfolio site? Are you designing a store, like a local business's website where they just need to funnel traffic to the actual physical location? You need to figure out what kind of site you have. Again, it might sound simple, but this is gonna help you determine a lot. Number 1, if you're building an e-commerce store or 80% or more of your site is gonna do e-commerce and that is your focus, build it on Shopify. Shopify has the best integrations, is the most advanced, and is the quickest to advance when it comes to e-commerce. And they have integrations that no other tool does at the same scale as Shopify. So, can you customize the look and feel of a Shopify site with ease? Not really. But if you want to crush it in e-commerce, Shopify is the best way to go. If you want to design a website that is for like a design agency and they need the most beautiful look and feel, a tool like Webflow is going to be the way to go. But the only thing you got to consider is that there's a huge learning curve and you probably need a budget alongside it if you've never built a site before, because you might need help customizing parts of the site, which is totally okay. But it's just knowing that, getting into it. And then if you fall anywhere in between, where your site is 80% or less e-commerce and you want a beautiful site, but you don't really want to get into the weeds of over customizing it or hiring someone else to do it, I would go to a tool like Squarespace. You could also maybe consider like Wix there, but I just prefer Squarespace. I have a background in it, so I prefer Squarespace. So number 1, figure out what kind of website that you need. Now, if you need a blog, I'd recommend using a tool like Webflow, but ideally you have a budget to get started. I'm sorry, but if you want to build a beautiful blog, a scalable blog that gets a ton of organic traffic, your goal is to get search organic traffic to your site and build that out, you're gonna need a lot of customization opportunity. And yes, you could do it in Squarespace. We crush it in Squarespace with our blog. But if you really are focusing on creating one core site that is a blog, I do it on a WordPress or a Webflow, and ideally Webflow because they're just better at like websites. WordPress is just dated, it's clunky, there's a lot of updates and plugins, there's a lot of junk with it. Webflow is definitely the way to go with a blog. If you want a directory, Webflow is a great tool. And if I forgot any main categories, drop them down below in the comments and I'll respond. But that leads us to number 2, which is you want to figure out what your budget is. You may be looking at me like, David, I literally do not have a budget. That's why I'm watching this video, because I'm trying to figure out what builder is best for me to build a site. Literally cool, awesome, fabulous. Now, when you're building your site, it's really important to consider the budget, because even if your budget is 0, it's going to determine what tool is best. If you have 0 experience building websites, like I mentioned before, and you have 0 budget, Webflow is going to be really hard. But if you have a decent budget, say $500 to $2,000, Webflow could be a great place where if you feel comfortable with web and you feel like you're good with software and like you're comfortable looking at code, maybe not like a code expert, but you're not scared of it. You spent some time on MySpace as a kid, or you've like made small customizations to things. Awesome. You could use a tool like Webflow knowing that if there's a few things you can't figure out, you could just pay someone to do it and get it done and go from there. But if you have 0 web experience and you have 0 budget, then I definitely recommend like a Squarespace, because they're gonna take away all the weird complexities. Like building a navigation, a main navigation in Webflow is ridiculously hard and not intuitive. With Squarespace, out of the box, intuitive, simple, easy, literally get it done in like 3 clicks. super easy. With Wix, probably the same thing. And then again, Shopify is just for e-commerce. So I'm not really gonna talk about Shopify again in the video. If you're sad about that, let me know in the comments. But the rest of the video is gonna focus in on these other tools with these 2 other points that we're gonna touch on. So number 1, we talked about what kind of website. Number 2 is budget. Now, let me actually say one more thing about budget. If you have a budget of like $10,000 to build the site, yeah, you could use whatever tool makes the most sense for your business. If you're trying to build a really beautiful look and feel for your website, use Webflow. If you're trying to build something that's functional and easy to update, use Squarespace. It'll still be beautiful, but it's not going to be as customizable, which leads us to number 3. What are your actual needs? Now, this comes down to what are the needs that you have for the website? Do you need a blog functionality? Do you need certain kinds of functionality? When it comes down to it, that's really gonna start to define a lot. Now, the hardest part about talking about this in a video like this is needs are like stupid extensive. Like they just go on and on and on and on. There are so many things you could talk about with needs. Like I need this customized, a map with these certain features. I need this service area to be an interactive map. In real estate, you're like, I need the properties to show up in a certain way. There's a lot of stuff that comes out in needs that could be really hard to address. What I would say is you just want to make sure the core functional pieces are there. So if you're like, our site is a blog and e-commerce, well, you could do that on Squarespace. Shopify is going to be a little bit harder because the blog side of it is just not the best. But on Squarespace, you can do both with ease. With Webflow, you can do both, but again, the learning curve is steep, so it's going to take a lot of work. What I recommend is write out what the core functional needs are. I need a contact form. I need a service locator map. I need whatever. Then you'll figure out how to do it. So let's say, for example, I built a site for a company that makes pasta sauces. They sell across the United States in different Ralphs, and they needed, in like Ralphs and Albertsons and all that, they needed a way to show that on their site. Well, Squarespace doesn't have that natively. WordPress doesn't have that natively. Webflow doesn't have that natively. I don't think Wix has it natively. And then definitely Shopify doesn't have it natively. So does that mean all those tools suck? No. But there are third-party tools that you can use with a little embed code that you could just embed directly into the site with just like literally 2 clicks. So once you get everything optimized there, you can embed it into your site. Simple, easy, game, done, over, you're good to go. So with that said, that leads us to our 4th point, which is probably the most important. So we talked about what kind of website you're building. We talked about budget. What is your budget? We talked about needs. What needs do you have? Number 4. Now this is most important. What level of experience do you have with software and specifically website design? If you get irritated every time you lose a password and you don't have a system for managing your passwords and you don't get comfortable with like software tools and you don't like using software tools or integrating or learning software tools, I'm gonna highly recommend you use the simplest tool that you could find and don't even consider things like WordPress or Webflow. When it comes down to it, tools like Webflow and WordPress are gonna make it really, really, really hard for you to launch your website because at the end of the day, it's so much work to try to figure out everything. So if you feel good about software, about building a site, you're comfortable with new software. If you feel good in that area, you're possibly even comfortable looking at code. Again, you're not a coder, you're not an expert, but you're not scared of it. You're like, I could kind of figure this out. If you're in that area, yeah, you could figure out Webflow and you could figure out how to build a site there and you could figure out WordPress if you need. But if not, and this is kind of the big kicker of all of this, is go to Squarespace. I've heard people say this before too about Squarespace, and I just want to let's just talk about it. All right. Nowadays, a lot of sites you'll see are built on Squarespace. And so as someone who's like looked at literally thousands of Squarespace websites, I could tell within a moment if it's a Squarespace site. But that doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. Sometimes people think your website needs to like stand out. It does not need to stand out, especially if you're just starting out. What you need to focus on is getting a site out. because what's gonna really attract people, connect them to your business, and help you actually make money and have a business is gonna be the opportunity for people to learn who you are and connect with you. And that doesn't happen through the website really, it just happens through the words. Like the images help, all that helps, but the words are the connecting points typically. And so everything else is like secondary. And I have never, tell me if you've done this, I have never gone to a website and been like, this is built with WordPress, so I'm not gonna purchase from this website. That makes no sense. No one does that. No one goes to a site and is like, oh, this is another Squarespace site, I'm not gonna buy from them. No one does that. Now, if the user experience sucks or like the checkout doesn't work, that's its own problem. But when it comes down to it, nobody cares where you built your site. All they care about is finding the information they need the quickest way possible and being able to contact you or take the next steps accordingly. That is it. So when you're deciding what tool to use, am I gonna use Webflow? Am I gonna use WordPress? Am I gonna use Wix? Why do they all start with W? Am I gonna use Squarespace? Am I gonna use like a Notion account turned into a Notion site like with Super or like any of those other tools, which is honestly awesome. But if I'm trying to figure out what tool to use, you gotta define what the end goal is, what kind of website you want. So if the kind is a blog and you want to be able to put Google ads, like run the Google display marketing on there, well, you're gonna need a site on a WordPress or a Webflow. You could build it on Squarespace, but it's gonna be a headache long term, and moving content in the future is a lot of work. That's hard. If it's e-commerce, Shopify. You could do it on other tools, but at the end of the day, best tool is gonna be Shopify. If you're trying to build anything in between that, honestly, best tool is gonna be a Squarespace. And truthfully, Squarespace over the last year has done so much behind the scenes. Like almost no one knows how much they've advanced, that they offer stuff that literally a year ago or half a year ago even didn't even seem possible or real, and now is like mind-blowing on how good it is. So if you want more tips and advice, or if you want more guidance on this, or if you do decide to use Squarespace, I have a few resources for you. Number one, this YouTube channel is gonna help you crush it like no other if you decide to use Squarespace. I have tutorials all over the internet, and if you like do a search for like how to set up links or hyperlinks or images on Squarespace, and you're on YouTube, you're gonna probably find our content. So if you need help, just subscribe now, make your life easy. You will get updates on all the new content alongside SEO and everything else you need to know about boosting and growing your business on Squarespace. Number two, I have some resource links down below, something I call the designer starter kit, and some other resources that will help you when you are building your site to get up and running and to launch. This process is so difficult if you've never done it before. So you need a guide and a way to go from 0 to 100 quickly. So I have guides, I have checklists, I have everything you need to get started that you should definitely check out in the links below. This has been a long video and a lot of great details about building and figuring out the best site builder. Now, if you got value from the video, hit the like button down below. It tells the YouTube algorithm some really important, critical information, but it also helps me know that you got value from the content. With that, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.